Hello and welcome to another edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano. Today, Trevor Williams, the new president and CEO of the South Shore YMCA in Quincy, will be joining us to talk about himself and his vision for the future of the Y going forward. First, though, we take a look at the weather and the news for you. Currently in Quincy, we have a brilliant sunshine, but it is brisk, 12 degrees right now. It's about as warm as it's going to get today. Temperatures will feel a lot colder with that wind chill as well. The depth of the cold moves in tonight. Temperatures will dip to 0 with wind chills below 0. There is a cold weather advisory in effect for the weekend, as a matter of fact. Not much relief tomorrow. Lots of sunshine, but continued cold. Highs tomorrow only into the upper teens, maybe 20 degrees at best. And for Sunday, our first day of February, comes in with a little bit of snow in the afternoon, but the nor'easter is moving further out to sea, so the impacts will be much less here at the coastline, maybe 1 to 3 inches of snow by the time Sunday rolls around. There is actually a coastal flood advisory in effect for the astronomical high tide on Sunday morning at about 10:30, so there could be some splashover, a couple hours either side of the high tide on Sunday to be aware of. And back to calm weather on Monday with lots of sunshine, a few high thin clouds, and a little warmer with highs Monday into the low 30s. Again, we have sunshine, 12 degrees in Quincy right now. Checking out the news for you today, well, as crews are continuing to clean up from last weekend's snowstorm, the city is gearing up for more potential snow this weekend. Quincy Mayor Thomas Koch says around-the-clock snow removal operations will continue in the business districts, around the MBTA stations, and at major intersections to make room for the potential for more snow. The snow is being hauled down to a snow farm at the Quincy Shipyard, courtesy of businessman Dan Quirk, who's offering that space to the city for free. Now, there will be some road closures and detours around the snow removal operations. Motorists are urged to continue to try and park on the odd-numbered side of side streets. However, there is no snow emergency currently in effect. In addition, Quincy firefighters are requesting that you dig out those hydrants near your homes and also clear sidewalks in front of your property. Just a reminder, there's also a one-day delay for the curbside collection of trash and recycling in Quincy this week. Now, construction on the new Squantum Elementary School is now kicking into high gear. Crews recently began working 10 to 11-hour days. They're also working on Saturdays in order to keep construction of the new school on schedule. Now, the contractor says the extended hours are needed in order to maintain progress and keep the project on track. In a notice sent out to neighbors, the contractor is asking for patience and also says that any concern should be directed to the project supervisors on site. The new school is replacing the 100-year-old Squantum School, part of which has been torn down to make way for the new school. Students are taking their classes in modular classrooms at the construction site. The new Squantum School currently scheduled for completion in the fall of 2027. In addition to the Hale Family YMCA here in Quincy is finished. Crews recently put the finishing touches on this 20,000 square foot two-story addition to the building on Coddington Street. The addition will be home to a new large-scale gymnastics center, dedicated teen programming space, and an additional space for group exercise. The new center is named in honor of recently retired YMCA President Paul Gorman. It's called the Paul Gorman Center for Community Impact. Well, the state fire marshal is investigating the cause of 2 house fires in Quincy last Saturday. A 2-alarm blaze broke out at the single-family home here at 35 California Avenue in West Quincy. Last Saturday morning, officials say a propane tank on a gas grill on a deck exploded, sending that tank flying and igniting the home. Everybody escaped safely, but the home did sustain extensive damage. And later in the day on Saturday, firefighters responded to 31 Newcomb Street in Quincy Center. That's where a couch had caught fire in a second-floor living room. Nobody was home there at the time. That fire was confined to the living room. The state fire marshal is assisting with the investigation. 2 Quincy residents were recently recognized by the City Council for helping to save a person's life. Ryan Healy and Kathleen Nugent were honored by counselors last week for helping to save a person who was choking outside of the Off the Hook restaurant on Howe's Neck. Ward 1 City Councilor David Jacobs explained how Nugent spotted a person in distress she knew to get help from Healy.
Our patron was choking on their food, and Kathleen Nugent noticed this was happening and was happening outside the restaurant, and ran back in and got Mr. Healy, who performed a successful Heimlich maneuver, saving that person's life. And I just thought it was, worthwhile to recognize them for being able to act so calm, cool, and collected during such a difficult situation.
Healy is a Newton Police cadet. Nugent is a longtime employee of the Quincy Building Department. Both received City Council commendations during last week's City Council meeting at City Hall. Our Norfolk County Register of Deeds, Bill O'Donnell, says that their recent 18th annual drive for the Marine Corps' Toys for Tots campaign collected over 100 toys that were distributed to families across Norfolk County. Since 2006, the registry has collected almost 2,000 donations for Toys for Tots. This, by the way, was the 78th year of Toys for Tots. It was founded by the wife of a Marine who wanted to donate a Raggedy Ann doll for Christmas but couldn't find an organization to help. Today, the program operates in over 800 communities in all 50 states and has donated over 677 million toys. In addition to the toy drive, the registry also collected over 100 pounds of non-perishable food during their annual holiday food drive. It's our check of news for you today. Coming up, new president and CEO of the South Shore YMCA, Trevor Williams, will be joining us. That's next. Well, welcome back. It is a very exciting time at the South Shore YMCA, particularly the Hale family YMCA here in Quincy, starting out the new year with a new president and CEO and a brand new addition to the Hale Center as well. Trevor Williams is here to tell us all about himself and all about the Y. Trevor, it's nice to meet you.
Joe, it's a pleasure to meet you too. Thanks for having me. Pleasure.
Appreciate the opportunity, and hopefully this won't be the last time.
No.
We look forward to a long-standing partnership that we had with
Absolutely.
the Y through just retired President Paul Gorman as well. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Congratulations, by the way, on your new appointment. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I joined the South Shore YMCA in February of 2020, so literally coming up on my 6th year anniversary there, but I've worked in the capacity of the COO, Chief Operating Officer, and then just last year as the president as we transitioned from one president and CEO to the next. And the board built that year in to allow a really, really smooth transition, which is exactly what's happened.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you have a background in YMCAs?
Yeah, this is all I've ever really done is manage health and wellness facilities. For the past 20 years, it's been YMCAs, but a little bit of the for-profit side in my earlier years.
Okay.
Yeah.
In this region? Are you from this region?
I grew up in Lexington.
Oh, okay.
So all New England, like within a 40-minute drive, north, south, east, or west of Boston.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Quincy was not foreign to you, certainly.
No.
So, yeah.
First YMCA I ever spent any time in was the Quincy YMCA.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Educated in the area too?
Yeah. No, I went to college in Virginia.
Oh, okay.
But went to Lexington High School and then came back and right after college and started my professional career.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is it about the South Shore Y, Trevor, that you enjoy? Yeah.
So the South Shore YMCA's, I don't know if people realize how good we have it here, but they're one of the largest YMCA's in the country.
That's saying something, because how many are there in the country? There's thousands,
There's
right?
thousands of branches, but there's about 800 YMCA associations.
Okay.
The South Shore YMCA is about the 40th largest in the country.
Is that right?
So when you think about these branches, they're mega branches with 2 pools and big basketball courts, and what we're going to talk about is the addition we just put on. So this is a 130,000 square foot facility at this point in the heart of a really robust, dynamic city. It's great. And a great city or a great community always deserves a great YMCA, and I think this is a perfect marriage, what we have here in Quincy.
And it's the South Shore Y is kind of the umbrella, right? It's not just the Hale family
Yeah,
Y.
exactly.
Yeah.
The South Shore YMCA has 12 facilities.
Yes.
From as far north as Quincy all the way down to Sandwich, Massachusetts.
Sure.
2 camps on the Cape.
Yep. What's the current membership, Trevor?
Current membership rate or current membership
Numbers.
Yeah, the membership is as high as it's ever been. We've had a really strong revival from the pandemic, and so we're at a record number. It's about 18,000 or so members who have cards, but we have about 60,000 people that we serve every month or year. Not all of our programs are membership driven. So, for example, if you're using the Germantown Food Pantry, that's someone we serve. If you're a parent who's taking part in some programming for your children, that's someone we serve. They might not necessarily all be members. Yeah.
So we're in a new year, and you have put together a strategic plan going forward, right?
Yeah, we spent the last year, the board and I and several people on the committee spent a whole year creating our new strategic plan, which we're rolling out to the community now. And it's really, you wouldn't be shocked by our initiatives, but they're going deeper into the things that we think are making the biggest impact currently. We're going to focus on youth, teen, and family programming, which is something we are really good at, but we want to be even better at it. We want to play a more significant role. We're going to focus on medical wellness and community health, combining a lot of relationships we have in the community health world with some of the programs we're running. We want to take that to another level. We have a partnership program now that is super unique in the country, where it's really all about making the Y just as accessible for someone with a mobility issue or a disability as anyone else. We lead that in this nation, and so we want to take that to a whole nother level. Staff development and retention is kind of on everybody's mind as far as retaining and attracting great talent.
Yes.
We do a great job at that, but we think we can do better. And then the 5th pillar is facility and infrastructure improvements. And so my 6 years at the South Shore YMCA have been full of investments and a lot of capital improvements, which I think has served our community really well. And we want to keep that momentum going.
Which you wouldn't think. It's a relatively new building. Was it 2013 that was finished?
Yeah, it's just about 12 years old.
Okay.
But if you're ever there on an afternoon, you'll realize how busy it is.
Yes.
And so what we wanted to do with this investment, which was the last stage of the Leave Your Mark capital campaign that was started in 2019 and just finished now, is we wanted to make more space and decide what to do with that space. And so I think you have some pictures, but we're going to invest some really significant square footage into a large-scale gymnastics center.
Yes.
Because we recognize there is not a gymnastics center in Quincy. Most of the people from Quincy are going to our Hanover Gymnastics Center, and we think we should have a great gymnastics center in the city of Quincy.
Okay, it is. You just opened it, right? This is fresh,
We're just
fresh
about
and
to
new.
open it. Yeah. It is. It has only been used once by our team. So
Okay.
now we're going to start bringing all the programs.
It is a 2-story, 20,000 square foot addition. It's the Paul Gorman Center for Community Impact.
Named
right?
after, as you said, named after our former president and CEO, mentor of all of ours, who's just leaving the position after 16 years of tremendous impact.
Yes, who was there for the ribbon cutting, which we have some photos we want to show folks
Okay.
to give them a sense for what it looks like. When did this take place, Trevor?
So this was just last week.
Okay.
These are hot off the presses. Yeah, that's Paul in the middle with the scissors.
Right.
And that the naming of the addition or the expansion section is above him as he's cutting that ribbon.
Tell me a little bit about the name. How did you come up with that?
We wanted to do something special for him. We thought about a lot of different ideas, and of course the community got to know him over the last 16 years as someone who's made a big impact. And so the name kind of sprung out of that, and then the timing of this new part of the building opening about the exact moment he was retiring just kind of came together in this perfect match. And we brought it to the board and said, do you think the board would support naming this wing or this new addition after Paul? And it was unanimous, like, absolutely vote right off the bat.
Yeah.
And so then it was just a matter of trying to keep it a secret from him for about a month and a half or two while we...
Not easy to do because he's in tune with everything.
Yeah, we had to keep that pretty quiet.
What community impact do you hope this will have?
Oh yeah, this is the best part. So inside that space, the gymnastics center is the avenue for us to build and grow confidence in youth and develop great relationships, allow the opportunity to mentor youth. I often say that we build spaces, but why we build them is much more interesting and important. So we're building a gymnastics center, but we're actually doing that because we want to grow confidence in youth.
Sure.
We want to give them an opportunity to take part in something that maybe they wouldn't be able to do, And with the YMCA's financial assistance, everybody can participate in everything we do.
Yeah, I wanted to point that out. You
Yeah.
don't have to be a professional gymnast,
No.
right? I mean, actually the opposite, right?
I would say the Y specializes particularly around youth sports
Yeah.
in the average participant.
Yes.
That's our sweet spot. We are not a high-level youth league where there's humongous fees
It can lead to that,
and
right?
you have to be like the best of the best to
Yeah.
get on these teams.
Right.
That's exactly the opposite.
Right.
The Y is
This
for everybody.
Community, right?
Yeah.
It's right in the name. Let's take a look at the next picture
Yeah.
and see what we're looking
Yeah.
at here.
So this is a picture of the gymnastics center.
Okay.
And from this picture, you can see about 2/3 of the equipment, but I think you get the volume of the size of the space.
Massive, yeah.
This is a 9,000 square foot gymnastics center, and
Yep.
the picture's taken where they're standing on the trampoline platform.
Oh, okay.
Where they do floor work.
Yes.
You can see some of the balance beams in the back. In the far corner, which you really can't see from this picture or this one, is this foam pit where you can practice your flips and your tumbles off the equipment into the foam pit. And then that
Safely?
way you're doing all this stuff in a very safe environment.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
You can kind of see it in the back there
Yep.
with all the green and black squares.
So great big walls of windows, so plenty of natural light, it looks like.
Yeah,
You know,
and it can also kind of gives you an orientation as to what side of the building that is with Roxy's and Stop and Shop in the background.
and this went up incredibly fast.
About 12 months.
I was amazed, yeah, to see how quickly it went
There's
up.
always this part in the construction where we're underground, and that seems really slow.
Yeah.
But no one notices that part.
Right.
And once the steel goes up, it seems like, whoa, where did that building
All of a
come
sudden,
from?
right? Yeah,
But
exactly.
about 12 months, we partnered with Integrated Builders and GJSA Architects, and they're both just so great. And so once you get things moving, we try to really truncate the actual build time so that we can capitalize on that.
Yeah. Is it connected to the existing?
Absolutely.
It is.
Yep.
Okay.
It's one big building now.
Yeah.
We just call it as like a wing or a new
Yeah, I
addition,
understand.
so we can articulate that we've just done something a little different.
Sure, sure. I think we have some more pictures I want to show folks, but in the meantime, I know that the vice president down at Hale is extremely excited about this because
Yeah,
Caitlin
Caitlin
has a
Safer.
background in, she's a gymnast herself.
Matter of fact, the story goes where Paul, Caitlin, and I sat down and said, all right, what do we want to do with the 20,000 square feet?
Yeah.
And she was the one who was the idea behind the gymnastics center. And it took us a couple minutes to think, is this the right thing to do with that kind of volume of square feet?
Yeah.
But Caitlin's passion and energy for it and our research into what is not available in the city led us right to that path, and we're really excited about it. It's going to be I think it's going to be a big, big program.
And she talked also about dedicated programming space for teenagers.
Yeah.
Particularly young ladies, right?
Yep.
Young women. Yeah.
We've actually named that in honor of Phyllis Godwin.
Oh.
So we're calling that the Phyllis Godwin Empowerment Center.
Okay.
And it is, just like you said, designed for our ability to connect with the youth and connect them to mentors and have a lot of different programs that support that. The Y is a safe haven for children, particularly in the after-school time frame. And we're hoping to use that empowerment center. And Phyllis Godwin was a champion, still is a champion for women in business and entrepreneurship. So
Yeah.
we
Granite
just-
City Electric, if folks don't know. Yeah.
we just can't. We're just so honored that she let us do that in her honor.
Sure.
And use her name. And we're just really excited about the number of volunteers who want to come by and share their wisdom with the youth and help them grow in their careers.
And group exercise and wellness, you talked a little bit about that.
Yeah,
as
there was a
well, so-
picture you just had on the screen of the group exercise studio. So group exercise is a program that just continues to grow for us. We teach over 1,000 classes a month with triple that in participants. So we can't seem to build these spaces big enough.
There's the photo again.
Yeah, so this is a 4,000 square foot studio. And when we built Hale just 12 years ago, we built 3 studios about 2,000 to 2,500 square feet. And we thought those would be plenty big, but here we are 10 years later saying these aren't big
You've
enough
outgrown it, yeah.
for almost any of our programs. So
Wow.
those will be really good for some of our programs, but we'll teach all the bigger classes in this nice big space right off the basketball courts.
Yeah. And coming up very soon, folks can see this, right?
Yeah, February. So we're right on the cusp. We're going to open the studio next week.
Okay.
I don't know if people see this at this time, but on the 9th of February.
Yep.
And the gymnastics center is doing a slow open where we've had our current gymnastics team use it the other day.
Oh,
we took
okay.
a whole bunch of pictures. and
Test
then
it out.
They're going to start with their big promotional campaigns right here too.
Okay, excellent. So you don't have to be a member, just drop in?
No, membership is part of the equation, but you don't have to be a member to participate in programs.
Yes.
And of course, anybody, whether you're a member or non-member, financial assistance is always available for everybody.
Sure. Now there's a second story too, Trevor.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's
We
there?
built the second story is where the Phyllis Godwin Empowerment Center
okay.
and the Gymnastics Center are, and then the first floor is primarily that group exercise studio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Membership required, but not necessary. Right?
Membership, there's always a benefit to being a member, and
Yeah.
one of the biggest benefits to being a member is you get to sign up for programs before non-members.
Okay.
So a lot of people end up being members for that benefit. Of course, we're a membership organization, so we'd rather you be a member.
Sure.
We think there's a lot of value in using the facility for other things, but that's one of the biggest benefits, and so people tend to want to become members so that they can get their kids and their family and themselves into the programs that they want at the times they want.
Yeah, absolutely. And we focused a little bit on your strategic plan going forward. What will come first?
Well, we have a 3-year strategic plan. So the first thing we need to do is really take a step back and consider what infrastructure do we need in place to accomplish these lofty goals. It's fun to have the staff talk about how we want to start, and they want to get to the middle or the end. And I'll say, okay, but do we have the right staffing structure for that? Do we have the right tools for
Right.
that? Let's take a big step back and make sure we're prepared with the base of the pyramid before we start getting up to the middle and the top of the pyramid.
Okay.
So I think the first thing we do, we have our marching orders, we know what we want to accomplish. I think the big thing is to take a deep breath, make sure you have the infrastructure ready to go, so as you start to layer on top of that and the community starts to enjoy those services, that it is to all of our goal excellent. I mean, that's our goal in every program we run.
Is there going to be another capital campaign? Is there a fundraising?
There's always
drive?
another capital
Yeah.
campaign, Joe. We got big ideas and big goals. One of the strategic plan goals is to expand youth and family programming, and one of the big ideas we have in that is to expand the camps we have down in Sandwich.
Oh, okay.
Those camps will sell out in about 2 to 3 days. Our day camps sell out pretty quickly too, and those are open right now. But the Camp Burgess and Haywood down in Sandwich sell out within days. And so it's our goal to expand that so we can serve more kids.
Okay.
And that'll involve a capital campaign.
Okay. Do you have a goal in mind, Trevor?
Not yet.
No.
Not yet. The
Okay.
committee that's working on that is starting to think about what we could possibly raise and
Yeah.
then what the needs are in order to do those projects. So somehow in the next year or so, those will start to marry each other, like what's the project cost going to be and what do we think we can raise. But thousands and thousands of people have gone to this camp. It's celebrating its 100th anniversary in 2028. So you can imagine the thousands of people who have been shaped by this camp
Yes.
over the last 100 years. And there's a lot of energy and support for leaving it in good shape for the next generation.
Well, to that end, your just completed campaign had tremendous amount of support from the community, right?
Yeah, the Leave Your Mark campaign is
Yeah.
how we afforded the last 3 big projects.
Yes.
The one we've been talking about is third. The first one we did back in 2023 was a new outdoor aquatic center at the Emerson YMCA in Hanover.
Yep.
That was sorely needed. And then just last year we opened the Nature Center preschool in Norwell to replace a very aging facility and give our community there more classrooms in preschool, which was desperately needed there
Sure.
too. All have been huge hits, huge hits.
Is it too late or too early to start thinking about summer?
Not at all.
Yeah.
We are actually to the point where I tell people, if you want a summer outdoor aquatic pass, make sure you go ahead and get it, because as soon as the weather breaks and you start to see some spring flowers, it'll all be sold out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying the strategic plan is being sent out to the community. How are you doing that?
Yeah, no, I'm doing a lot of it as a way of introducing myself to the community,
Yeah.
like reintroducing myself to the folks in my new role, and it's a great talking point, it's a great leave behind. We want the community to be very invested in what we're doing. We are extremely passionate about volunteers and helping us do this project. So yeah, the more we can tell the community what we're doing, we'll do a lot of social media about it, we'll do a lot of stuff on our website, but more importantly is telling the story one-on-one. And that's kind of a big part of my first 90 days, is going back out in the community, reintroducing myself and sharing the good news about our strategic plan.
Well, you started like a month before the pandemic hit, so I mean, really hit the ground running.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, it was really good timing.
Yeah.
I came in with fresh eyes, and when we had to make some very difficult decisions, I wasn't as attached to them emotionally. I was more like, well, what's the best logical decision to make in these tough choices?
To keep the doors open, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Well, we had to close for 4 months, and then when we reopened, I remember the first day, like 13 people came, and I thought, okay, this is going to be
We're in
this is going to be
trouble.
hard.
Yeah.
This is going to be really hard. So, in some ways, it was a blessing to be the new guy. But, like I said, we've had nothing but great support from the community since we've reopened. And I kind of think about now as something that's deeply in the past.
Yes.
We've exceeded all those metrics from back before the pandemic, 2 years ago.
That's
so
great.
things are going great.
Well, I wish you continued success in the future, and please come back here and
Anytime.
update us along the way.
I will. I'll keep you informed.
Great. Thanks again. Just enough time to check the forecast for you for the rest of the day. Today, kind of what you see is what you get. Sunny and cold. Temperatures only in the teens, down to 0 tonight, and wind chills, well, a lot colder than that. More of the same tomorrow. Maybe a few less clouds, but it'll still be cold. Our messy day is on the first day of February for Sunday with some snow, but only a few inches possible. Back to a sunny, a little bit warmer on Monday with highs in the low 30s. Thanks again to Trevor Williams for joining us from the South Shore YMCA.
My pleasure.
Thanks to our crew. Thank you for watching. Speaking of Monday, here on the program, we welcome the head of the science department at North Quincy High School to talk about their annual STEM fair next week. Meantime, check our website. It's qatv.org. You'll find all of our latest programs. There's news and information, video on demand, live streaming, and much more. For all of us here at QATV, I'm Joe Catalano. Have a great weekend.